Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. This is the Audio Mullet Thanksgiving Day special. Except for not Thanksgiving Day. It's probably the day before, maybe. Maybe it is the day.
Probably
I don't know when.
We're not very special either.
It's not special? Well, for us, it's special because it's...
Yeah, we haven't done a call-out like this. We haven't had a theme.
Yeah.
A holiday-themed thingy.
And Thanksgiving doesn't get a lot of love. It gets a lot of hate.
Does it?
Well, you know, like all the... Have you seen some of the hashtags come out?
I'm not on Twitter, so I don't see the trash dump that you have to endure every day.
I saw that what liberals... I can't remember. It was like something like Liberal Thanksgiving or something like that. And then it was all these, happy indigenous people being slaughtered day or something like that. It was all this stuff about how we took land from people. Like, oh, yeah, let's be so thankful that we murdered people and we're evil.
Yeah.
That's a good topic.
We did rescue this country. We rescued this country from the savages.
Oh, dear.
I know. I tried to say that with a straight face. No, we were in cahoots with the Indians, right? They saved us.
I'm really not a historian on this. I do know that... I've heard a lot of different stories. I mean, it's weird though. I mean, just about every civilization starts with it's in a similar way, right? Like,
yeah, every civilization everywhere has killed someone for their land.
Yeah, right.
And
I guess.
But the opposite version, what they picture is like all of these apes evolving on continents, and they were always there in peace, peacefully aping and evolving their prefrontal cortex. And then one day all the nations were here, and only America went and slaughtered these innocent, peaceful Native Americans who were living off the land. There was plenty of land back before all of America was completely covered in cement, and we ran out of trees and resources and water. We ran out of water.
Yeah, I know that
they gave us they gave us corn. Like we were starving and we needed corn, and they brought us corn, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's probably just. I mean, I can't imagine it's that simple that just the Indians. There's different tribes, and there's probably the ones that we got along with better and ones that we didn't. I remember reading a book, and I'm horrible at retaining this stuff, but I remember one of the points it made was that the whole blanket thing with diseased blankets is like there's really no evidence that ever happened. And that's always
supposedly we filled up blankets with measles. Now they did not have a resistance to us. It's kind of like War of the Worlds.
The main reason
resistance
they died was because we brought diseases over and then they just weren't ready for them. They didn't have the immunities built up, right? Or our horses did, or something like that.
Wouldn't we have also caught all of their diseases that we didn't have immunities built, or were we just so amazingly immune that we had all the immunities to their stuff and they didn't have any of their immunities to ours?
Yeah, good question.
They were cut off. They're like marsupials. Yeah, we do. They basically gave us corn, and then
that was back when everybody died.
The first pilgrims, they took the corn and they pumped it full of GMOs. That was the first thing they did.
They pumped the corn full of what? You broke up.
They pumped the corn full of GMOs and they raised it in cages. That was the first thing they did. And they wrapped it in plastic, and they threw all their plastic wrappers all over their forests and their sacred burial sites.
I remember also reading.
That's what we tell at our Thanksgiving dinner table. The true story.
Yeah, I remember reading this account of, these guys came home from something or other, and their home had been ravaged by one of the more brutal Indian tribes, and they found one of their babies had been nailed to the windowsill there's just a stake driven through its chest, and its heart was still beating and it was still suffering. And And so you think of like the white man hating the savage and this pure racism, and they're out there being peaceful, and like you don't think of it like that. Like you have that image, burned into your mind when you're thinking about this fight, and it's hard to like imagine what
I'd rather they just brought over blankets full of measles. That would be much nicer. I'd prefer that.
But I'm not saying all Indians did that, but there was not that they weren't all like peace-loving
one guy.
hippie. Yeah, it's just that one really bad guy, the baby nailer guy.
Yeah. That was just one guy. They just had their one Bill Cosby of the group. The one bad guy of all the Native Americans. We documented that one guy. Well, it was only one guy maybe that brought over a blanket full of measles. Yeah. I don't know.
He who roofies woman. I don't know. Yeah.
But in general, it seems like we came over and got along and everything was great. I think the real problem was that it was their country. And then we came and settled it and established it and then slowly pushed them out of their land. And there's some kind of an acknowledgement of that in that we gave them, their own kind of mini nation status so they could build casinos. Mm-hmm. But they got certainly the Native Americans back then, they got a raw end of the deal, but and they slaughtered a bunch of us. And then we made friends with a bunch of them too, because there's all kinds of them. I know the missionaries did very well with a lot of Native Americans. There's all kinds of tales of Native Americans being Christian. And that's another thing the left hates, is that they were ever became Christians of their own free volition, their own.
Yeah.
They loved Jesus, and that infuriates them because they want them. They also don't believe in animal spirits. Your atheists don't believe in animal spirits, but they at least wanted them believing their own made-up thing instead of taking on our made-up thing. They're only happy with them if they're worshiping bears, but if they worship Jesus, then get them back on the bears.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember reading that the first Indian that the Pilgrims met when they came over was this guy named Samoset, and the first thing he asked was, "Do you guys have any beer?" And then it turned out he could speak English because he had gone and he had actually been converted to Christianity through some missionary or something and then come back. So it was kind of this like pure sort of luck or fate or divine appointment that they happened to run into a Christian Native American first when they got here.
Yeah.
Otherwise things would have gone a lot differently.
And so he brought Jesus to our pagans. Maybe our pagans were Calvinists or something, and he came over and brought them free will, a higher Christianity.
Filthy, dirty Calvinists.
Yeah, maybe we wouldn't be as Christian without that. I thought it was Sacagawea who brought us food or something. Didn't someone bring us food? I'm so ignorant.
Yeah, we shouldn't even try to talk about this.
Reagan's over there laughing at out.
The whole goal
Reagan,
of this
you
episode.
studied Native Americans. Coming to the Puritans, Yeah, Reagan, Mr. Phillips.
You broke my workflow.
I know. He's working hard on my campaign over there. My ignorance is beyond, and it's public.
You have an expert, and you haven't. You gotta get somebody on. We gotta get somebody on that knows about this stuff.
Mr. Phillips, we want to try and get you on to straighten us out on Native American history. Do you know who brought the corn, at least?
Who brought the corn?
Specifically the corn?
Well, what did they bring? What happened?
I don't remember. There was a lot
Nobody
of
knows.
stuff that was brought by both parties.
Both parties brought. We brought them guns and fire
I
water.
remember, the one thing I remember is that they had potatoes and we didn't have potatoes. So it's like potatoes came from America and then to Ireland. So everyone thought they were native. So there's a lot of stuff that we believe was from Europe or from America, but was actually brought from the other place.
Okay, so the Native Americans brought the Idaho spud to Ireland. Look at that.
And tobacco. Tobacco and French fries.
Tobacco, yeah. French fries.
Just weird.
Fidget spinners. Were traded. We got to thank him for that.
Pogs. Mini Pogs were traded.
Pogs. And we gave them the iPad, and now all their little children are just looking at screens all day. Thank you, pilgrims.
I grew up in a very Indian-heavy family because my grandmother, she had like Indian stuff all over her house, like Native American.
Yeah, you have your official status. You could get freebies from the government.
I have gotten it. Yeah, I used to get free Indian health care. The only thing that stopped me was when I may have mentioned this in the podcast in the past. I can't remember, but I got free health care through the Indian tribe because I am a card-carrying Cherokee.
Card-carrying Cherokee, so you're allowed to make all these jokes and all these honkies that are upset at you. They're the racist. I just want to clarify that. You're a card-carrying Cherokee.
Well, my dad had an uncle. My dad had an uncle named Uncle Big Chief. Like, that was what he was known as. And then
Uncle Big Chief.
And then we had a cousin, I think. Yeah. And then we had a cousin, I can't remember his name, but the only picture of him I ever saw, he looked like a legit Indian. Like, he had like the leather pants with the like little tassels or whatever you call it. Yeah. And he had like a gun with feathers on it and stuff. But
yeah. You gotta wear the part. Do you think that might be why you're drawn to drawing bears? Maybe. Is there a genetic element to your Cherokee-ness? Is that maybe that's why you always want to draw bears?
It's the spirit of the bear trying to come out.
You'd be drawing bear or draws bears.
But I used to when I lived in a smaller town, I would use the Indian healthcare, and because of the funding, they had this nice facility. And you go out there, and everyone else that was going out there was like just a dash Indian like me. Like they just had a little bit of Indian blood, and it was just like nice free healthcare. But then when I moved to Portland, I went to Indian healthcare. Ooh, man.
Yeah.
I was like the only white. Yeah, it was
you were the only white guy there.
Only white guy.
All the legit ones. Were there slot machines in the lobby, in the waiting room?
It was okay. So I was used to being able to call and make my appointment and come in like that day or the next day. So I call up and the lady like laughs at me and goes, no, you can't make an appointment more than like a month out. So I was like, what? And I'm like dying sick. Like I need medicine right now.
Yeah.
So desperate, I still made the appointment. I think I made this appointment maybe for gout actually. When I finally went in, it was so crowded. Like the waiting room was and it was filthy too. It was really dirty and like not, it just had that like almost like a rundown DMV kind of feel.
Yeah,
like
it had that.
Lady at the counter just looked like dreadful.
Had that Portland feel.
Yeah, just Portland. That Portland dive bar feel.
That's the Portland version of everything. I picture their Starbucks just being caked in like dirty diapers and laying around.
When I walked up to this place, a guy in the parking lot, an old Indian man, tried to sell me a tusk with like a painting on it. That was how legit this was. But I was just like, even though I needed the healthcare, I couldn't do it anymore. I was like, I felt too weird in there. I'm like, this is their place, and it's just horrible. I just did not want to go, and it wasn't racism. It was just, it sucked waiting that long, and that was like my first kind of wake up call. Like what the argument against government run healthcare. I was like, this is government run healthcare right here. This is horrible.
Yeah, you don't want that.
Yeah. Anyway.
But it was free, and you wanted that.
Yeah. Well, even that I was willing to like turn down unless I absolutely needed it, which is kind of what happens, right? Like they try to make the healthcare harder and harder to get so that they don't have to use as much money and resources. So that you only really come in if you really, really, really need it. Like your leg's falling off.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, I do from time to time smoke American spirits.
It's very open-minded.
Chief with a headdress on it. There's no fillers or chemicals in it, so that's more natural. It's supposed to be more Native American.
Yeah.
What about the actual celebration of Thanksgiving? I remember one of my best Thanksgivings I spent with your family out here in Tennessee.
Oh yeah, that was a great Thanksgiving.
Yeah, your in-laws and uncles and the old ladies and grandkids,
Yeah.
and man, more in a cab, like a house that's like a giant cabin
Like
thing.
a mansion cabin.
Mansion cabin in what's that town? Thompson Station. That's where Miley Cyrus was raised.
Yeah, right next door to Billy Ray Cyrus.
You're right next door to Billy Ray Cyrus, so all your kids might be culturally of the same roots as Miley Cyrus.
Yeah. Yeah, probably not.
Do they stick their tongue out a lot?
Yeah, what she wears? She wears like all these. Yeah, I don't know.
She wears like Band-Aids.
Well, my family's super frugal, and they found this mansion out, or not a mansion, but it's just a giant. It's pretty big.
It is.
It's huge.
It
It was owned by one guy though, who had no family, but he was just a music producer who had a ton of money. So the whole house is all made up for like recording studios and stuff, and they just turned them all into rooms for their kids. But it had this really hairy driveway that was like dangerous to go up and down, so that nobody could sell the house.
Everyone's been almost killed. Everyone's almost been killed on the driveway. We drove it.
Yeah.
It was a horror.
So it was some crazy good deal. Like that house was something like,
yeah,
it was crazy cheap. So they bought it, and they
with a driveway engineered by a music producer.
Yeah, and so they put a new driveway in and stuff, and it's amazing. But yeah, my family, it's my sister's, or my sister-in-law, her family, they do generational living. So they live there with their sisters, and their grandparents live there with them, their parents, and they all live together in one big house.
That was my favorite part. Was I got to sit and hang with old ladies.
Mm-hmm. Hey, you hung with
they were cool.
with Nanny or Granny. I think they called her Granny. But I only that was one of the only times I met her too, and then she passed not long after that.
Yeah, she was wonderful. I probably should have washed my hands before I met her, but maybe she'd still be with us. She was wonderful, a beautiful lady, and I'd ask her about her childhood. She was like really old.
Yeah.
And I just, it was like listening to a favorite song or something. Every time she would take you back to her childhood, and man, it was neat. But the other thing that was cool was like they had a giant smoker and everything, barbecued, smoked, cooked, just food on every table, like I've never seen.
Yeah, it was like a legit Thanksgiving. Like, there's so much meat.
Crazy.
Yeah, because they had meat they'd hunted.
Yeah, it was like there was venison. There's everything, venison and pork and turkey and cow and chicken and everything, and cooked and smoked and fried, and I just remember loading up my plate with just meat.
Yeah,
and it was just loaded. And the other thing they made was pecans, a spicy sweet pecan, some kind of chili powder on a pecan. It was spicy as heck, and with a crust, like a sugary crust on it. It was amazing. Ooh,
I don't remember that.
I'll never forget that.
Huh. Yeah,
so that was
good.
wonderful. So that was a wonderful Thanksgiving memory that we had together.
Yeah.
That was our first Thanksgiving. Well, had you been to our house for Thanksgiving before that?
I
Like in
can't
LA or
remember.
something?
It seems like I possibly would have, because I was so familyless. But I don't know. Back in those days, I was single, and I didn't. I would often drive out. Well, I don't know. I can't remember. It's all a blur.
We always invited the orphans over
Yeah, all
our
the
house,
orphans.
so anyone who didn't have a place to go could come.
I must have at least once. I must have.
Hold on, I've got a refund request on my book.
Uh-oh.
Depends on, what do they say?
They say they either want a full refund or for you to donate their money to the Salvation Army. It's just a comment.
They just don't want the book. They're like, no.
Weird.
They just heard all your jokes about Native Americans being savages, and they're like,
Yeah.
end it.
Yeah. That's so disruptive on crowdfunding too, when they go into like specific instructions of what you must do because they no longer want your book because of what you have said or believe.
I haven't had that happen yet.
Yeah. Bottom line is they're getting a book, but and they get a book they don't want.
Yeah. You're getting your book, bucko.
It really is like the most disruptive thing they can do. And so that's the real goal.
Yeah.
And I don't know what to do. I mean, he's going to get a book. So.
Yeah.
I guess I got to make a donation.
You can donate.
I got to lose the money on the book and then also donate to Salvation Army.
So, gratitude.
Yeah, let's talk about gratitude because that's what
that was the
Thanksgiving
goal
is
to talk about. This has all been rabbit trails.
We'll get back to it.
I do think people should also know we are on Skype, and it feels pretty laggy today. So I apologize if this conversation sounds unnatural.
Yeah, I'm talking right now so that when you edit this all together, what you just now said about that Skype message will have me talking over it.
Yeah, you'll be talking right over it. Because we do.
Yeah,
I listen back to these and we're talking over each other. Like, I don't remember talking over each other that much.
Just close your eyes and just have kind of a flow, a flow of consciousness where sometimes you get both of us talking for a long time, then a long period of silence, then both of us talking again.
Yes.
That's our product. Okay, thankfulness.
Thankfulness. I'll start with
gratitude.
I'll start with a Chesterton quote. I would maintain that thanks are the highest form of thought and that gratitude is happiness doubled by wonder.
That's a flowery way of saying be grateful.
Be grateful.
Be thankful.
There's an element of wonder.
Oh, man. I remember a Thanksgiving with my cousins now over that be thankful statement because we were all like, this is when me and my cousins were all like in our smart aleck, probably middle school, maybe early middle school phase. Mm-hmm. And Grandma Ruth, you know, the matriarch of the family, she was just like this nervous, really nervous. I don't think she ever had a bad thought, but just so sweet, but real kind of just nervous and uptight is how I remember her, and just real quirky. And she would come in, and of course we had the kids' table, the adults' table, and the kids' table. And all the kids' table, we were having way more fun than they were. We would just, quote bad commercials, and just I just remember laughing like this is those innocent days. After everyone's life is ruined in adulthood.
Yeah.
Now when you think back of all your cousins and divorces and all that. Yeah. But back then, man, we were just. And we loved getting together for Thanksgiving, but she poked her head, Grandma Ruth poked her head into the room and just said to all the kids, be thankful. For had to be the next hour. Everything was, be thankful. Be thankful. Be thankful. We were mocking her. I mean, not pointedly, but just mostly laughing out loud about it. And then by the time when we were actually eating and we had plates of food, we would like put a huge piece of like turkey loaded with gravy, and it would be like dripping out of your face, and it would fall out of your mouth, and you go, be thankful. That was all of us. And all the little ones were doing it too to imitate us. Be thankful.
Poor woman.
That was terrible. That was terribly. That's exactly what we're talking about here on gratitude.
It is hard you can't instill gratitude in someone. They have to come to that. That's a tough one. Because you tell your kids all the time how important it is to be grateful, but like, they don't listen.
They're ingrates. Yeah. Children are natural ingrates.
Well, the weird thing is they start out, they are, but then there's like the other day I was thinking about it because Calvin, my 2-year-old, is obsessed with garbage trucks right now and garbage, the whole process. He wants to bring the bag out. He'll find a little piece of trash on the ground, like, oh, garbage, and he wants to walk all the way out to the backyard. He wants to put it in the trash can in the back. He doesn't want to put it inside the house trash can.
That sounds like a really useful fetish.
Except for I have to go with him because he can't get out there himself, so I have to walk all the way out to the back of the house.
Man.
But Tuesday is the big day for him. Like, he is so excited because he gets to watch the garbage truck come and dump the garbage with their grabber hand, grabs the truck.
Yeah.
It's like the day of the return of Jesus Christ. Like, he's just like, he runs out there. It's like a spiritual experience for him.
He's super excited.
Yeah. But I was just thinking about it as he was, he's waiting, watching, holding on to our picket fence, just waiting for the truck to show up. And then it comes and he like does this dance. He's so excited. He's cheering as it does it. And we can't help but like laugh, and just it fills us with joy. And then you see the garbage man, just he's full of joy and he's waving at us, and the joy that wonder that Calvin is bringing to that situation that would otherwise be so mundane would just be the trash truck coming and taking our trash. We would not care.
And for him, it's wonder. He's thankful.
He is just, and he's soaking it up and then celebrating it. And but by his wonder and him celebrating it, it's affecting us, and it's affecting the trash man. Like he brightened up our entire morning through that. And it just kind of amazed me. Like he doesn't know it, but his presence right here, being that grateful, I guess is the word, if that's the right word.
Yeah.
It's affecting.
And compare that to
him.
being to how the effect that we have by being ungrateful, or stingy or unthankful, like to not say, not find wonder in even. I think of it more in simple things, simple blessings that you have, like health. Is a real big one for me. Like I never feel like I earned my health.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And so I always thank God for that, and I'm very thankful every day that my wife and children and people around me in general have their health, because we fear like excruciating pain. That's the big thing that I fear is that, and I've seen too many friends who have like children with brain cancer, just something terrible that just it stops your world. It's like it just stops everything, and you generally live without pain, and then suddenly, as soon as this tiniest pain, like if I have a neck problem or something, it just it becomes the focus of all attention.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, when I had that neck issue, ran my world.
Yeah, and prosperity is another one that I'm very thankful for. I never feel like I have it coming, but I know that most of man's history, people went without food and had crushing poverty to a point that they couldn't eat.
Yeah.
Like imagine starvation, like you're wondering, where's my meal going to come from for my family?
Mm-hmm.
They're all starving too. Imagine the guilt of any dad or mom.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. We're so far within the realm of needing to be like things to be grateful for. Like we're deep in the woods of gratitude worthy life.
Yeah.
But so we're so prone to just not to be ungrateful. Yeah.
And the other one that I have a real tough time with is that I'm grateful for sanity, because I see the homeless guy on the corner, like, talking to himself or yelling or whatever. There's nothing you can do with that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's lost in some universe, and we see his body, but what am I going to do with that guy?
Yeah.
He's crazy.
Yeah.
Like shouting on the corner, talking to himself, covered in filth. And I just look at him and just go, too big of a problem. What can I do? That's a child of God. But I go like, what can I do?
Yeah, you can't even communicate.
He's a lunatic.
Yeah.
I talk to him, but just, crazy comes out. And I go, I usually I can solve things, like if you were merely hungry or you needed a job or you needed a shower.
Yeah.
Even if you needed a car, we could probably work something out. But if you're just crazy, I can't fix crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you can't really, you can't give money to help, like, to get rid of crazy, right?
Yeah, you give money to a crazy guy.
He's gonna go buy a bunch of whoopee cushions or something.
That's right. He'll buy a banjo,
hey,
and then try to eat it. I don't know. That's very frustrating for me, because I naturally want to solve problems. I want to fix things or whatever, and that one,
yeah,
I'm baffled by. It's very frustrating. So I'm thankful for sanity.
Yeah,
just for being able to live in general, in reality.
Yeah, I remember
is a huge blessing.
One book that had a big effect on me being grateful was reading Mouse. The
oh yeah,
about
by Art Spiegelman.
Art Spiegelman, and the account of the concentration camps and the kinds of things that they would resort to. Having to eat, the stale bread, sleeping in the feces of their neighbor. Just all piled in these things, and
and for me, the companion book to that is Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning. He does all that in.
Yeah, that's probably the better example.
Well, they're both. I've read Mao's too, and it really is an incredibly humane account of what happens from the point of view of Art Spiegelman interviewing his dad, who's a Holocaust survivor. And he's like this, he's a beatnik, he's in the striped shirt, and then they go back to the dad's account of Auschwitz that he was recording at the time.
Yeah.
That's amazing. But Viktor Frankl's book also takes you right into Auschwitz, and it is insane what those people, and he's talking about, he becomes like a shrink. And after the people were liberated, and he finds them here in America, not able to be happy anymore, and some of them would kill themselves. And he was like, how could you survive the Holocaust but not survive escaping it? And that was his big question on the book.
Yeah, I've always meant to read that. I haven't read that yet.
Yeah. And then my other favorite account is Yehuda Neer. Aaron Neer was my translator, and his dad had written a book. I forgot what it was called. The Lost Childhood, I think. Something like that. It's an amazing account of his memoir. So that's what when I see Thanksgiving dinner, laid out on a table, and you're eating, beyond what you can stand. Yeah. I just don't want it to ever feel normal. Like I want it to be like, this is from Mars.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we cook so much, is you want it to seem like an unworldly amount of great food.
Another Chesterton quote. Yeah. When we were children, we were grateful to those who filled our stockings at Christmas time. Why are we not grateful to God for filling our stockings with legs?
Yeah. Yeah, that goes back to just thankful for having two legs.
Yeah.
And you especially become thankful when you see a guy with no legs.
Definitely.
I go, wow. Or I think of it at Comic-Con when I see, and a lot of times they're the same families that bring their kids in year after year who are in like a wheelchair, and they have like, a vacant stare, and they're, there's something wrong, permanently wrong with that kid, and the parent still loves them and wheels them around or whatever, and I just go, man, first of all, I love that kid. I love the parents even more. And then I just go, it's terrible to take your own health and basic structure for granted.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why you get the neck pain. Every once in a while, we get a little pain.
Yeah, a little reminder.
Why? Why can I not roll over right now? Because my back is trashed. And you go, oh, I won't take it for granted next time when I wake up and I'm like, ah.
Yeah.
I think Dennis Prager talks a lot about gratitude.
Yeah, he does.
A big informant on me for the last 20 years of wisdom on the subject, that he really believes it is absolutely the key to happiness is gratitude, that if you're not grateful for what you have, then you can't be happy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's and why is that like a problematic thought? Like is that I think that the attitude of culture right now is that that's a sign of privilege. If you have the freedom to think that way, then it's just because you have privilege.
Yeah. Well,
and is that really true?
It is a privilege.
Yeah.
To get to be healthy. But so is every intersectional group that claims they don't have privilege. I mean, like Chesterton said, I mean, if you have legs to put in a pair of pants you're to some degree more privileged than anyone who doesn't have a leg. That, feminist or LGBT or minority who has health is more privileged than any honky who has no legs.
Yeah.
Or, my mom is a white lady and supposedly has all the privilege, but she went through breast cancer. I don't see anyone signing up to trade places with her during breast cancer.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone has some level of privilege, and then everyone has some level of some great trial in their life that they have to get through.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't recall white people not having any troubles to get through. I just think their blessings are very easy to, identifiable if you just look at the stats of what maybe the kind of a plight that a minority might have. And then versus the white person who doesn't have that plight. But whites have a higher rate of mental instability and suicide.
Mm-hmm.
Something's troubling them. Mm-hmm. And I don't think it's them being white that's troubling them, unless they're liberal.
Yeah.
Another thing that Prager always said that really stuck with me is he said someone's always got it better than you. Mm-hmm. That's true. And it's usually that envy and comparison, which, by the way, do not envy is forbidden by the 10 Commandments, to want what someone else has. Like you want their wife or their car, their money, their fame, their property. Because in a way it implies that you're trying to steal it from them.
Mm-hmm.
So someone's always got it better. He said it's true, but he said if you think about it, he goes, someone also always has it worse.
Yeah.
No matter how bad you have it, someone has it worse.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't tend to think about that because that might actually bring some gratitude.
Yeah.
So I always think of that too. I try not to think of who has it better than me. I think of everyone who has it worse. And then that brings gratitude in me where I go, you always want what someone else has, but no one wants the trouble someone else has. The divorce, the deceased child, the cancer, the clinical depression.
Mm-hmm.
No one wants that.
Yeah.
We don't envy that.
Yeah, and we all paint pictures of other people's lives the way we want to believe they are. So you look at that family and you think that, well, they're always smiling, so they must have it so much better than I have it. You don't really know the details. Almost every family you get to know them, there's tragedy. You can't have more than a handful of people in your life without encountering some tragedy.
Yeah,
and some dysfunction and all that stuff.
Or that Dire Straits song, "That ain't working. That's the way you do it." They're having to move TVs and microwaves, and they're looking at a hippie rock star, and they think if I had that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's also a Bob Dylan song. "Satisfied Mind,"
mm-hmm.
where he talks about a rich man. If I had what that guy had, I'd do things my way.
Yeah.
I could do things my way. I think that's a pretty common human form of unhappiness.
There's probably someone in the third world looking at any American thinking the same thing.
Oh yeah, they would give anything to trade.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of how I felt being a conservative evangelical in Hollywood as they talk about privilege.
Yeah.
And I go, you'd rather be a gay minority if you were trying to get a job in Hollywood right now. Versus, I'd have to be very quiet about my conservative evangelicalism. That guy'd have 10 times more the chance to get a job than I would.
True.
So if you take one form of privilege and you move it to another tribe or another area, you lose all that privilege and you become the guy who's out of luck,
Yeah. And that's why I think that there's like a false god of fairness that we worship in our culture, that it's never going to happen. It's not all ever going to be fair. We're not going to even it all out so that, every single person has the exact same income and the exact same amount of happiness in their life. There's always going to be plenty of unfairness to be upset about.
Yeah.
It's almost like to engage in that form of thought is to choose ungratefulness. It's to imprison yourself in it. And that's what we have set ourselves up for.
And there's always a lack of empathy for our enemies that I think the Bible forbids. But we tend to relativize what other people's absolutes,
right,
and they tend to relativize our absolutes. And then we're also callous to what they find sacred, like an environmentalist. I couldn't give a rat's ass about their horror and plight. And it just seems like a pagan religion, and they look at mine, my devotion to Jesus Christ, and that's their favorite cuss word, that they we relativize what each other take holy and sacred. And it's probably not a good thing in our character.
Yeah, totally.
Well, thank you.
So, what are you doing this Thanksgiving, Doug?
Ooh, it's going to be good, buddy. Tomorrow. Now, the beloved Miss Tenaple, I'm at her beck and call. She may need some help. Usually like lifting a heavy turkey out of the oven. That's about the extent of what she'll have me do.
That's funny.
Maybe she needs me to help. She usually does the green bean salad.
Yep.
And it's just all about the food. I'm so excited. I like lifting the skin of the turkey off like a Volkswagen hood. Just lift the hood, and I would eat that whole thing.
Yeah,
I always ask other people, "Do you want skin?" And there's always some people that think they're being healthy by not eating skin. They're like, "No skin for me." I'm like, yeah.
My whole family. My wife has taught them that the skin is gross. I'm like, are you guys insane?
Yeah. Healthy people. Your wife's a healthy.
Yeah.
Healthy people do all the time. They're like, skin. I'm like, it is the most flavorful, best part of the turkey. Everyone's like, do you want a leg or do you want a breast? I'm like, I want skin.
The whole reason that there's any good flavor in the rest of the turkey is because the skin was on it, giving it flavor.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the meat's actually kind of dry. I mean, it's just kind of, 8 pounds of white meat.
Well, you can make it pretty juicy. I've managed to make pretty juicy turkey last couple of years. I had to embrace my ability to make turkey. Since I've got a family and I'm generally the cook in our family. My wife cooks some.
You're upping the artistry of the turkeyness. So you're going to be working tomorrow?
Oh yeah. Well, we got the nice thing is that grandma is here and great grandma. So
how neat.
They're visiting, and so they're very helpful in the kitchen. Which grandma is, we call her Oma. She's Jess's mom, and she doesn't look like a grandma at all. She's like in her 50s, I think. She's like your age.
Yeah, I met her.
Anyway, so I've got some help. We got some backup.
Yeah, we've got mom and dad are here from Colorado, my mom and dad, which is just automatically a party. And mom has booked, she's logged so many Thanksgivings under her belt. You know, she can do some real damage to that workload. And then Dad and I sit around and smoke and jaw and goof around.
Yeah.
And I love family. And then we're also having Mr. Phillips here, who's doing work. He and his mother are going to be here, and maybe some other friends. I don't know,
cool.
Or family of theirs. I don't know if they're going to come over or not. And then we have Jake, who is the guy that was living with us from Colorado. He's my nephew's best friend. He's coming and bringing some friends. He always brings like some Navy SEAL or something. Huh. So I think our head count's 13 or 14 total. So I think that breaks into 2 turkey.
Yeah,
land.
It's pretty serious.
So I'm thinking I kind of want to go to Home Depot and buy a deep fryer and deep fry one of the turkeys. I might be in charge of that.
Wow, that sounds awesome. I've never had a deep fried turkey.
I know, but when you think about the skin, doesn't that just automatically sound correct?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Oh, yeah. So we're going to have and we do go around the table talking about what we're thankful about. And it's always, family, God's great blessings, salvation.
Yeah.
No one says, I'm thankful for money.
Yeah.
It might be called prosperity, that in general what we mean is like that life is not, hard, that we're not wondering how we're going to pay rent or buy food.
Yeah.
And then just the overage is way beyond that, right? We can afford to buy insurance and
When I was
things that most people can't afford.
Yeah.
Certainly in man's great history, we're in the top.
Yeah.
Tip top, probably 1% of man's entire history. Air conditioning and heater.
Yeah.
2 cars in the garage.
It's actually amazing that you can find something to complain about.
That is that ingratitude is really a souring thing and makes people unhappy.
Yeah.
And Ange and I have always been happy all the way back. We'll be married 30 years next year. I remember our first year together when we were making $4,500 a year. We were exactly as happy in a 1-bedroom apartment. And I was just as grateful, just going, I can't believe I get to be married to this woman and I get to live in this country and I got 2 arms. I get to draw.
Yeah.
We get to have our beater pickup truck. We're eating this great food. Everything else is just frosting. Beyond the necessities is just frosting in our net, and I don't remember ever having to go without a necessity. Like my dad, we were raised, middle lower class. I never went without food.
Yeah. Yeah, same here. We were actually considered poverty level for a while in my childhood. We still always had food and cars. Yeah.
Yeah. You lived in your dad's car.
Yeah.
For a
we
while.
lived in his car.
You lived in his car.
We ate well, though.
Yeah.
He would cook.
But did you feel like when you were sleeping in his car going like, oh, man, this is really falling apart. This is really bad.
I was too young to realize that. I thought we were camping. I thought we were having fun. And some of my coolest memories come from that time because my dad, my dad has this crazy journey in his past life, had owned a pizza restaurant in New York. And he had been the guy that he'd sing because he also had a past life as an opera singer. So he'd sing
he's an opera singer and he's living in a car in Coos
But
Bay.
in his pizza restaurant that he co-owned with some other guy, he'd sing Italian opera and throw pizza dough and stuff.
Oh,
so
that sounds. I want to see.
I know.
That so bad.
So then he'd buy French bread and he'd make us French bread pizzas cooked on a campfire, and they were awesome. They're so good. We loved them.
Yeah.
So we sitting out there with our fisherman dad, eating French bread pizza off the campfire. It was good. But
that is too cool. So someone always has it worse.
Yeah.
Be thankful for what you have.
Thankfulness is it's a choice.
Yeah.
I think that's,
and that's the other thing is you can't thank molecules.
yeah.
You can't thank particles. You don't thank a rock. You don't thank gravity for giving you things. You thank God. I mean, if the universe is, you thank people. You thank a person. So you can't say, I'm thankful, and then not have someone to thank. What are you thankful to? You're thankful to a universe that's made of rocks and particles. I'm thankful to the particles. Well, the particles aren't there to hear your thanks, so you have to give thanks to God.
Yeah, and implicit in that is trust. Because I think, we're all like children, and like children, we tend to want to get hung up on fairness. And like my kids all the time, they're always like, oh, it's not fair because this kid got this and I didn't get this or whatever.
Yeah.
And just by being born not all at the exact same second, there's already implicit unfairness there. There's all this stuff that comes up. What you really need your kids to do is to trust that you have a heart of fairness, and that they may not always feel like things are fair, but that that they trust you. And I think that's what we need to have gratitude. We have to have faith and trust in God that in our position, He's put us where He's meant for us to be.
Yeah. When I get unfairness visited to me, first of all, I feel like I have a lot of unfairness coming to me, given how much on the good end of fairness I've received.
Yeah.
That I'm always waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Yeah.
I'm like, God, thank you for everything being so good.
True.
And should I have to be ruined physically or, lose a loved one or just experience excruciating pain, help me remember these good days that I didn't earn.
Yeah.
And didn't have come into me. It's not the American self-made man is, it has its limits.
Yeah.
And to sit there and only take credit for everything, didn't go, I earned this.
Yeah.
The idea that I get to vote and have representation by law, then you look at some woman born in a burqa, had a clitoridectomy, and you're just going like, what did she ever do to earn that?
Yeah. Yeah, one thing you encounter a lot in the arts is these artists who think they're bitter because they're not getting paid lots of money for their brilliant ideas.
Yeah. And
it's just, they have this huge sense of unfairness in the world that they're not, because they're looking at Steven Spielberg or you or somebody who's making a bunch of money off of their brilliant ideas, and they think that everybody deserves to have that, but they're not looking at the kid in Ethiopia who likes to draw. It will never happen.
Yeah,
that's not even an
that
option.
Guy's chance.
So if you really want,
he just
fairness,
wants to be in a heavy metal band. Yeah. He's raised in a grass hut, but he just wants to be in a heavy metal band. What's that guy? What are his chances?
Yeah. So in the true sense of fairness, spirit of fairness, we should, you should be willing to also encounter that or endure that if you really want fairness.
Well, and any of us who've had some level of success, I think the amount of weirdo luck, I'll call it luck, because I'm not trying to remove God's hand from providence, but it just feels like just happy, weird, bizarre, sloppy accidents, and then boom, a door opens and you walk through it, and boom, it works, and it just feels like you're just getting away with murder or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like it doesn't feel like, when I look back and I talk to fellow artists, even like you, youngsters, and say, you can do it. I don't mean you'll be able to force every door open. I mean that, like, I think if you keep sticking to it, being born in America, if you can't make it here, you're not going to, you've been given every advantage in the world, certainly.
Yeah.
I mean, the kids in the art department and the humanities are the most privileged people probably the history of the world's ever known, and probably have more opportunities.
Yeah.
Especially today with the internet and stuff. We have more opportunities, more open doors than I've ever seen. And no, being gay or black or a woman does not close doors. Your doors are wide open. Being an evangelical Christian, it does close doors in some areas, but overall you have more open doors than any person in the history or in the world has ever had.
Yeah. Yeah, it's wild. I mean, even in my lifetime, I've seen opportunities have changed massively, Yeah. It used to be that the amount of hoops you had to go through to get your comics seen by more than just your friends and family or video, just all the stuff that's happened with the internet, the amount of opportunities that have opened up. It's crazy.
Yeah. The internet has blown open the doors to mass media arts. I mean, you're given a free broadcast network around the world. It's free.
Yeah.
So if you want to put on a show with YouTube, you put on a show. And even with all their limitations and all their weirdo rules, and everyone's all threatening the COPPA thing, it's more than anyone had in 1950 who wanted to make a TV show. You have more privilege and open doors, having to even negotiate with probably the most draconian YouTube, even in China. You probably have more opportunities than they ever had in the past.
Yeah.
Be a professional video game player. Guys making $3 million prize money. You can be a professional video game artist. It's these are amazing. These are amazing times, and we have a lot to be thankful for.
Yes, we do. Well, I'm thankful for your friendship, Doug.
Yeah. I'm so thankful that you're in my life. I can't imagine what would happen if we never met.
Yeah.
That'd be a real deficit.
Yeah, I can't imagine. That's a big hole.
Think of it.
That's a big. It's almost to imagine my life without having met you. It is really hard to imagine. It's like a huge chunk
we'd be different.
missing.
We'd be completely different people.
Yeah,
it's like saying,
it's true.
What would it be like to be a completely different person? I don't want to imagine that. I like what I have. And yeah, you're a thankful guy. So you're one of the guys I'll pray for at Thanksgiving that I'm thankful for. I'll remember you as my people. And even absent Mike, we're thankful for.
Yes, we're thankful for Mike.
His absence only makes us grow fonder. That's what he's doing.
Yeah. He's trying to get us to really be thankful for him.
Yeah. Maybe we squandered his presence. Maybe we took it for granted and just thought he would always be there.
Yeah. He did. I don't know.
And now that he's gone, it's like getting the crick neck. You're like, oh.
Yeah. He's too big. He's too big of a star for us. So.
Yeah, he's too big. Maybe one day he'll come back down to the civilians, come down to the riffraff, come to the street. He'll come back to the streets. Mike, this is like Michael Jackson. Mike is like Michael Jackson during Bad. Remember the opening of that video? All his fellow, the black people from his neighborhood going, "You're not bad anymore. You're not bad. Mm-hmm. You're not bad." He goes, "I'm bad. I'm bad. I'm still bad." And then he proves how bad he is by his dance.
Yeah.
So Mike, maybe one day we're the homeboys going, maybe one day you'll come back and be bad.
You ain't Mullet.
You ain't Mullet. This is Audio Mullet. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Audio Mullet. A mullet of audio smashing you in the face. Audio Mullet. Short in front, long in back. It's a fact. It's the Audio Mullet.
Are you
Okay,
ready?
I'm recording again.
Okay, I'm recording.
I'm ready.
All right. You counting?
Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, wait. I thought we were doing 3, then I count.
So what do I do? What am I counting to?
Just count 1,